I talk a lot about home training. And someone came into my inbox and said, Marjorie, you always talk about home training. What does that mean? What is home training? Well, those of us who have children and we have raised children, especially old school, and I think a lot of young school parents do it the same way. When a child is an infant, you begin home training that child. We don't wait until a child gets 5 or 6 to train that child. A child gets trained from infancy. Now you probably say, well, how are you going to train a baby? Well, you do. The thing is eye contact. Eye contact is the first step in home training. And that eye contact comes in during infancy. And when a child is 3 months old, 6 months old, you're looking that child in the eye. And if you notice, little children will look you in the eye. Babies will look you in the eye. They don't look at your head or your teeth or anything. They look you in the eye. And that's the first step to home training, because once you have that eye contact with your child, you will be able to say, don't do that. They will know the difference between your going along with something or sanctioning something that they're doing, or whether you disapprove with something they're doing. You have not touched them. You have not yelled at them. You have only looked at them. And if you start early enough, they will always look at you to get your approval before they make another step. They will look you in the eye. And some of you know what I'm talking about because your parents had that. Your parents had that eye, that they looked at you, looked you in the eye, and you would straighten up. Now, as that baby grows and becomes a toddler will try things. When they get into that terrible twos, they will try things with you. But they still will look you in the eye. They will look you in the eye. They will take their hand and try to do something. And you say, no, don't do that. Don't touch that. And then they'll take their hand away. They will take their hand away. Don't touch that. Now, they will also know by the looking in the eye whether or not it's okay for them to touch something. But they will still look at you. And if you don't say something, or if you give them permission with the eyes and with your body, they will go on and play with something or what have you. So that looking is very important, and that's home training. In other words, you have to be in close relationship with your children or grandchildren for you to do that kind of home training. Now, you can teach them how to pick up after themselves. You can teach them how to go to the toy box and get toys out and play. You do that, but they need to put things back. There are places in the house that they don't go into. Like they're not going to go into your bedroom and jump on the bed. They're just not going to. That's unacceptable. And they don't need to even be jumping on their own bed because it's not a trampoline. You see what I'm saying? You're teaching them every step of the way what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. You're teaching them that they are not to take anything that belongs to other people. You're teaching them right from wrong. You're teaching them not to bite people, not to hit others, and that there is a time for everything. Now, they're still little children, but they know your expectations in the house. You don't let children run wild in your house. Now, I'm not saying that children don't play in the house, because they do. They have a place where they play, in their bedroom, in the family room, in the basement, in the backyard. They have places where they play. But then there are places in your house that you do not want children going in playing, because, say, for an example, in the living room, when you have guests to come over, you want that living room to look nice all the time. So you're not going to let the children go in there and play and jump on your furniture and climb on your coffee table and just put things here and put things there. Now, when you take your children out, you have expectations. You have taught them in the home training, so that when you take them to the grocery store, you're still teaching them with the eye. You have that eye on them. And the little ones, you're going to put in the basket, in that push cart. And you're going to, that's going to be expected. They're not going to run all over the store wanting this and wanting that, wanting you to buy this and taking things off the shelf. That's not home training. So you're going to be proactive in training your child. Now, isn't it interesting? You've seen parents who train their children, and it's a joy being around them, because when they come into your house, they'll sit. They may walk around and do some things with your permission. And when you take your child to other people's houses, you don't just let them run wild. If the other family has children and toys, you ask them, can he play with this, or can he play with that, or can she do this or that? And they will say yes. But you're not going to sit there while your children are wreaking havoc in someone else's house, and you sit there and do nothing about it. Oh no. All of that is part of home training when your child is young. When you have to correct, when you have to redirect them, and you're looking with them. Now, I'm not saying beat them or hit them, but sometimes you might have to tap those legs. I'm not saying beating. All of that is part of home training. But for the most part, you have that relationship by looking in that child's eye, and that child, when you say something, he or she will look and know exactly what to do. Did your mother do that? My mother did it. My mother could take us anywhere, to church, downtown, other people's houses. I mean, we could go a million places, and all my mother had to do was look at us. And especially in church, we could be in the back, maybe talking to some people, other young people as teenagers, and she would look, and we would get her eye, and she would tell us, she would do her finger like that, and we would have to come up and sit on the front row, especially if she was at choir rehearsal or something like that. So that's home training, and I hope that the young woman who asked me to explain what home training is. Home training is what's done in the home. Now, in your home, you will also teach your children how to talk. They learn speech. By the time a child is 3 years old, he or she knows the speech pattern in that house. If in your house you cuss all the time, by 3 years old, that child is cussing all the time. Or at least if he doesn't cuss, he knows the pattern of cussing and will do it just like that. Some children are taught by their parents to enunciate properly. So you have some children, and you've noticed, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You meet these children, and they speak so well. And you wonder, how do these children speak so well? Their grammar is correct. They have nice vocabulary. It's because of the home training. Don't take home training so lightly, because it's so very important. And it's something that we need to start doing when children are infants.